Welcome to the ClashCast podcast. I'm Colton Cruz.
Wyatt Garland.
Brianna Marshall.
Welcome to the podcast where we talk about and analyze anime.
Yeah, and punch things with our mouths.
Today's topic, nerd culture going mainstream.
Basically.
Yeah.
And before we investigate this topic some more, if your ears get full, we got some prime visual content over at our YouTube channel, ClashKO. So feel free to check that out. But right now we're going to be talking about how, basically, we were just watching the new Nicki Minaj music video, Chun-Li. And, that was just kind of the start.
Yeah, that's kind of what ignited the flame here.
Yeah, and it's really just, you remember people sort of not really wanting to say that they are, I play video games.
And I wouldn't even say that it's even more them wanting to say as so much as what is it? A John Boyega goes on the Tonight Show, and they're like, yeah, what do you like? And he's like, Dragon Ball Z, and what are they supposed to say? What is that? He's not gonna sit and explain what anime is on a show, so you wouldn't talk about that. Even more so, I think, than people just being like, oh, I don't want anybody to know. I think it's just what is there to even talk about?
Exactly. But we're getting to the point where it's less foreign. The concept, the idea, and people are even bragging about it. And that's really what she's doing in this video. She's using it as sort of a piece of momentum for her, self-described badassery by being like, no, I'm Chun-Li. And other than, her rhymes being really
on fire.
On fire. There we go.
Helly.
I'll let you say that. It's a good video, but also she's in cosplay the whole time, basically.
That is another thing too that I've actually noticed. It's especially with Instagram and just all social media. It's there were these so-on models and yes, everyone's watched anime, yes, everyone's played video games, but it just seems now with cosplay it's coming more mainstream. You're seeing it everywhere.
Yeah, people are bragging about it. People are, and ultimately, that's smart. Video game characters, anime characters, their costumes and everything that centers around who they are. It's all art. It's all designed by someone.
It's all art. It's all designed to be on people. Obviously, it works with modeling really well. Also, it's not Disney, so Disney's not just chasing people down about it.
Exactly.
Completely seriously though. You're not going to see Nicki Minaj dressed up as a Disney princess because she's legally not going to be able to do it.
My God.
But Street Fighter's just going to be like, hell yes.
Absolutely.
Namco's not going to lick that gift horse in the mouth.
They're just take my money, absolutely.
Street advertising,
Which is really interesting. And then even more than that, I don't know that I get a lot of specific commentary on Lara Croft or Storm or Chun-Li out of the Nicki Minaj music video.
Right. She just mentioned.
But I think kind of we'll just stick to kind of R&B and rap just in general. We're seeing this huge explosion of anime references and video game references kind of coming into that, which I think has a lot to do with even just timing. You think Dragon Ball Z was on Cartoon Network from 1998 to 2008, we're just getting that age of people.
It's happening.
Who were there for all
It's
of
happening
that.
now. We're getting to the point where that just makes sense. When I'm drawing people over at the Mouse House, little kids oh, can you draw me as Mario and Luigi? And it's just kind of crazy to be sitting there and be like, oh no, I'm drawing 10-year-olds as Mario and Luigi because
which is
that's
hilarious
normal.
At where you work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just oh wow, yeah, of course. It's crazy because it is now the time.
Yeah.
It is now the time. It makes sense. But the best part is that people are looking to anime as sort of not necessarily bragging rights, but they're looking to it because it's good. It's less of we're just gonna reference video games because we want to be on mainstream or something. It's no. They're specifically that really old school one. That's a good one. I want to be known for that one. I'm picking them specifically because they have there's a gravitas to them now. There's something there. When you say something like Chun-Li, people are like, oh yeah, the martial artist from that video game that's been going on for 10 years or whatever.
Time,
the only female, the most powerful female character, the one that's been there from the start. Yeah, no, that is kind of
right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that too, especially in kind of rap and R&B where leveling up is a huge theme and improving yourself, working harder, training, putting in your hours is such a huge rap career thing that I think that's another part of why anime characters
It's relatable.
Who else but like Goku, like in like a media that like you would absorb at like a really vanilla top level, has that same kind of like character arc. Like Superman didn't train. Like,
exactly.
Mario doesn't train, but it's like Goku. That makes sense.
Yeah.
He like went blonde. He leveled up. He got to the next level.
He fought.
This thing,
he worked. He sweat. It makes it connects more.
Sweat. I mean, like even the poetic metaphors are completely translatable back and forth.
We all know that Stronger Kanye was all about Akira. He mentioned that, and that was a lot of his things for that. But also, like he's also always been known. It's really funny. My favorite is he tweeted. He was like, "Yo, I was just looking at like a YouTube top 10.
In that garbage era of like nothing but like...
he was like, and there's no way Spirited Away is better than Akira. He's like, Akira is top tier.
Let me tell you, when I first saw that, I retweeted that in a heartbeat. I was just like, yes, Kanye!
Exactly. It just makes sense that he's thinking about things.
Would have like opinions on it and would like feel that he could
express
put that out and people would react and know what he's talking about.
And then his wife, what is his wife doing?
Okay, let me
talk about... This is funny, this is interesting.
Let me get my tea and just spill this. I do and do not like the Kardashians.
Well, that's neither here nor there. What are they
But
saying?
it's just like Kim Kardashian... Throughout my entire existence, I've never heard or seen anything where she's just like, oh, I like this particular anime. But she recently posted where she has... dyed her hair pink, like all, it might be a weave, I don't know, I'm not judging, but it's just all long, blonde,
she's
like pink, and she's just like, oh, darling, 002 is bae, and I'm just like, how?
Yeah.
How do you,
Darlings in the Franks. That's the best part. That is an extremely
new. Kanye sat her down.
Exactly. He's like, no, this is Evangelion, like, but new. You gotta see, it's a very niche sort of thing, and it's remotely popular right now.
It's extremely popular, but it kind of like threw me off guard because I'm just like,
wow.
Even this big celebrity, it's like where we are right now. It's like my 7-year-old self would love where we are because I remember where I would just be like kind of in the closet.
The saturation is there.
Exactly. It's like I kind of love anime, but it's like when I talk about it, people would give me like so much like bad shit about it, and now it's just like, oh yeah, Kanye or like Nicki Minaj talking about it and everyone's giving them praise, and I'm like, this is where we should have been in the beginning. It is okay.
We're switching over to this perspective now where it's, nerd culture is mainstream. People are, what is it? I remember even like when I was starting out as an artist, like very young, I was like, oh no, like, people, nerds have all the money, like, so yes, I want to do nerd art. And people are like, well, why would you say that? And I'm like, because look at the art they're making and look at the art they're buying. They're investing in it.
Overwatch.
They're also incredibly art literate.
Yes, exactly. Like Overwatch is another good example just because it's really mainstream, like let's say that for sure.
Absolutely.
And they have a great, really cohesive community that is active. I mean, recently they're doing that Mercy thing.
The Mercy breast cancer thing,
awareness, and that's really cool.
Which is
and
amazing.
You can
Please check
do
that
that.
out.
Yeah, check that out. But also just the fact that clearly, like, what is it? I think Michael was even saying, it's like, there's some weeaboos on the staff there. Like, everybody.
100%.
They have, the ninja cyborg. They have, but like beyond that, like an added character had a Naruto run.
Exactly.
Like a Naruto run specifically. Like it's ridiculous to the point that like it's a character who in the first person view, her hands are in front of her face in the screen, but when she's walking to anybody in third person, Naruto run.
Yes,
Naruto 100% of the time.
Because of course.
And
right?
it's that bleeding into other art forms, which is a huge part of it too. Is like not even just Mikey B. like saying that he had his costume designed to look like Vegeta's.
Right.
It's cool, but like also like him being able to say that and people know what that is and pick up on
and
it.
And think that's cool.
And also that's like in a Marvel superhero movie. Like that's such good trading of ideas.
And in Black Panther, his role is essentially mirrors Vegeta's
100%.
In a sense. So the fact that he's paying homage and not just sneaking it. You ever know how like people sneak things into like, oh yeah, well technically this is from that. But no, that was thematically correct. This isn't Thor and Loki doing the Sandman pose in the extra shots of the second Thor movie. This is real stuff, that they're like tying in, like, oh well, actually, let's reference this.
Well, again,
like,
it was like an art thing. Like,
exactly.
It wasn't like art. Oh, let's do like a quick marketing ploy or like publicity stunt. It was just a like.
Sews it in.
No, like we wanted to make a good costume and we based it on a good costume that happened to come from an anime.
There was a really, this is like my favorite interview with Michael B. Jordan. So they were asking like, Michael B. Jordan, what's your favorite thing in the world? And he first wrote anime, but he scratched over women, and I'm just like, my man, my man.
Same thing, right? Same thing. It works out.
As like the press tour producer was like, No, but that's what becomes super exciting. I mean, because like as we get like other good things happening besides just the anime coming, like we got like Black Panther, like we got like a lot of like African American culture to come just into the Marvel universe, like into the mainstream nerdcore,
hooking in
just in general, and so to like see it kind of like like stir up the mud and bring like other like farther cultural stuff like anime in with it, like it's just it's really satisfying. Absolutely.
Good. And I mean, I will mention once we were watching this new boxing anime. What is it? It's a Megalo or something.
Megalo, something like that.
Anyway, it's this boxing anime, and what's interesting about it is that they throw a sort of like a filter on it, harkening back to an older set of animation. So it's just really cool that even in sort of the genre itself, nakedly they're like referencing the history of it. We're just getting to a really cool time period in the art where it's self-referencing, where other art is reacting to it, and that's what you want to happen with art. You want it to evolve and stuff like this, and it's just so exciting for me to finally see American media that isn't just, like copy-pasting it or poking fun at it and being like, oh, look, their eyes are big. I get it. There are plenty of jokes there that you can rip on. Like, Megas XLR is still to my day my favorite one that just really digs into anime and is like, just laughing at it honestly. And that's totally fair because, it's something different and they laugh at our stuff too. Yep. There's give and take, but it's great that we're also at a point in time where prominent musical artists, where prominent, films and stuff like that can be like, oh no, this is accepted canon, this is good stuff, we're gonna take it because it's good.
Yeah.
We're not gonna leave stuff out that's not quality, and it's nice to have that everything boiled down.
Yeah, to have it exist even just in the cultural lexicon, like
yes,
just
that's
being
a good way to put it.
It's like no, like we can talk about it in the same way that like I mean like it's crazy to think that like it's getting in that same footing where it's like, yeah, how you reference like Demeter or like the Greek gods and like, it's like, oh, I know vaguely about like what you're talking about when you reference those, like to be able to reference Storm and Chun-Li and Lara Croft and have that same thing like, oh, you talk about strong women, like to have that same just like cultural reference to just be able to like, oh, I understand what you're talking about based on like artistic like convergence and overlap. That's insane.
And it just shows the times. It was funny. I was watching some The Tonight Show with Stephen Colbert, and he made one of his guests digged at him, like, he's like, oh, I'm a millennial, I don't know that, and, like, he was very old, so Stephen laughed, and was like, oh, do you know the Pokemon Goes?
Oh, no.
And that's funny, but...
That's cringe.
Specifically, think about it like this. 10 years ago, he would have just said Pokemon. But he said
he
Pokemon Go, which is an app that everybody's got now. Do you remember that came out?
Dude, people where I work still every single day phone out the whole day.
I still do that. Are you kidding me?
I never dived in. I never dived in.
But I dived in 100%.
You're a raider?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Jesus.
For about a month after it came out, you'd walk out into like a college campus and you were like, am I at an anime convention? Like, what are all the weebs doing outside?
That's it. Yeah, the greatest thing was when Pokemon Go first came out too was people would drive by and like you could tell they were on Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Like they have that like bag, like they're kind of they're going a little bit too slow because they're trying to like hit everything as they go. And like you could literally just pass any car and be like, Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Like Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go.
Somebody bragged to me that they caught a Golbat like on the way to work, and I'm like, dude, A, that's a weak Pokemon, get out of here. B, drive, motherfucker.
I love that like now like because at work like it's all these like like 40-year-olds at my work who like they know every single Pokemon, but they have none of the reference that we have. Where like like you said like Golbat, like
whatever.
Screw that. But they're like. Yeah, I got a shiny Diglett, and like they're but like thing is they have no reference of what power is. Yeah, they have no idea idea what the strata of Pokemon
Oh
is.
yeah, I like this one. Why did you play with it when you
Yeah,
were a
that's the thing.
child?
It's just like, no, it was really hard to catch, so it must be a good one. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Is that how you equate Pokemon? Interesting. Like people.
I don't know about that. That's all I'm saying. Like,
Oh god, it's fun. It's everywhere.
Yeah,
man.
and then beyond, to get back off the Pokemon tangent.
I'm sorry, kicking you right there.
Yeah, it's so funny because, like, like, we say all this, like, yeah, anime finally made it. Like, meanwhile, Pokemon had just driven that, like, ship into the world.
Yeah.
And been, like, completely
always been
referential.
there.
I feel like it was 2014 or 2015, like, where it really, like...
Oh, I don't know.
Set.
I feel like by like mid 2000, like 2004, like
Yeah.
people knew what
No,
everyone
with
now knew what
Pokemon
Pikachu
Go.
is.
With Pokemon Go.
Pokemon
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
So that's what it really, like, with, like, mainstream. It's like, oh, no, here's Pokemon Go. Like, all the Pokemon. And it's like, this is kind of like the rise where it's like, no, anime and video games are pretty cool.
Yeah,
Check
yeah.
them out.
Yeah, Pacific Rim is a pretty good example of
Pacific
Oh
Rim is a
very,
good one.
my
very
God.
specifically being like, no, it's an American and a Japanese pilot in the same robot. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, it was all the badass. They had like, the guy from Rage Against the Machine doing the guitar riffs.
Which is so interesting because, like, when I went to film school, that movie, I was in film school when that movie came
When I
out.
was in film
The first one. And, like, all of the, like, like, tech people in film school, like, worked in the equipment and stuff, they lost their minds over that movie. They're like, oh my god, it's the biggest, craziest thing. But I remember it was the exact same year that I had a conversation with my, like, film professor. And he was an older guy. He wasn't as into, like, all that. But I remember him being like, I have a 7-year-old. He watches anime. I know what that is. Because, like, I'd written a film, and it was clearly, like, to me, like, an anime, and, like, I had always just struggled to, like, I don't know if I just tell him it's an anime, and he just doesn't know what that means.
Right,
or what.
right,
But I remember he tried to, like,
Posture.
to, like, pull up his pants and be like, I know about the anime, like, and I was just like, but you don't. And obviously he didn't.
Yeah.
But, like,
Yeah.
this thing we're getting where
Yeah.
it's like, but, like, he felt like he needed to assert himself. He's like,
Right.
I'm not a complete idiot. Like,
Yeah.
to his credit, like, I mean, like, him even being able to say anime to me is
That's
just
like
still,
a
like,
round
just
of
like,
applause. A for
no,
effort.
I
Yeah.
mean, you know what words to use, and, we talked about cultural lexicon, like, that's the
It's
start.
fitting
like,
in there, and it's fitting in there because it's good.
Using words and knowing what they mean.
Yeah.
What is it? There was, Gravity. Did you ever see Gravity Falls?
Yeah.
There was a joke in there where, I think Seuss was talking about anime, and then this old guy's like, what is anime? He's like, oh, I have so much to teach you. And then
my
they
God,
clearly
I remember that
reference giant robot fights later. But it's like, that's a Disney cartoon. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, oh no, like, it's everywhere because it has had a cultural impact. And we are seeing that. And it's leaking into everything, and people like it. I mean,
Well, it's kind of like with Steven Universe, too, where it's
oh
like...
my god, that's an American anime.
Well, no,
We've
no,
talked
it's,
about this.
Well, it's
but
like, no, it's like
check
even...
out our podcast.
Well, it's even like some of the episodes where it's like, oh, Steven's playing like in 64, like there's reference to like Final Fantasy and things
Yeah.
like that, like this little figurine, a freaking cloud with this giant sword, and I'm just like,
Are you forgetting the Sonic figurine is there?
we do not
We don't
mention
talk
Sonic.
about Sonic on this channel.
Sonic Go.
But anyway, even more than that too, it's good to see the opposite happen. Like, like seeing kind of the American take on anime, like having an effect back on anime too, has been really cool. And then just even seeing like how they see Americans appreciating like anime and like weeb culture has like cycled back. I mean, like getting something like what's the one you like that's like Teen Titans Go but anime basically.
Nani?
It's all just joking and like it's all just gag. Like it's
The gag one?
Oh! Pop Epic Team?
Pop Epic.
Team.
Like,
Oh, yeah,
like Pop
that's
Epic
real.
Team like very much feels like a at least like of what I've seen, it seems like it's like no, like this has the American like anime person like in its psyche somewhere.
Yeah,
like,
that's in its
it
fanbase.
understands that it's like working with that like kind of cultural base too. Because we forget that like like liking anime like as mainstream as it's becoming, like even in Japan, like it's still like that deep weeb culture is still a subculture of like the Japanese culture.
It's not.
Like,
We are adding to its numbers significantly.
exactly, yeah. So like we do have an effect on like the gravity of that as
the
well.
newest season of My Hero is simulcast in English and in Japanese.
Yeah.
It's very like, and we don't do that here. We don't listen to American actors over Japanese animation, but they do it because some people grew up that way and they like hearing American voice actors. That's fine. But the fact that they simulcast it is really just interesting because they're like,
Just
oh
the
no,
demand's there, yeah.
the demand. It just highlights that. It highlights that they're not.
And then on top of that, I mean, you look at like we're getting like a Castlevania, or the Castlevania animes that have been
very
coming,
Western sort of.
and then but it's a Japanese video game.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's become like Netflix is like, oh, we'll invest in this Japanese like property. And then beyond that, I mean, of course, the masterpiece that is Neo Yokio. We're almost a year late talking about the anime infiltration of American culture here.
And you know what? As funny and as crazy and as weird as that was, we're getting there.
Hey,
you know,
James Smith, good job, man.
It's more and more hooks. You know what I mean? We're getting closer and closer. We talked about American anime in one podcast, but we're gonna see. I mean, this eventually, very soon, I think, within the next 10 years easily, something that is essentially just solid art.
Yeah.
That is not, you can't sit there and say, oh, well, that's anime or that's American. It's just going to be art that is made from the best of everything. I mean, that's the way that I try to look at the stories that I want to tell. You know, it's let me just take the best of everything. Why not? You know, look at what has been successful and why it's been successful. I mean, My Hero, All Might is an American superhero. And
exactly, yeah. That's another perfect example of the American influence.
And let's not forget, very specifically, he is drawn in a Marvel style in the comic. I know in the anime they make him big and stuff.
But no, the shadow muscles, that's how an American comic book is inked.
That's exactly, and they do that very specifically to make a artistic reference. You know, they're not, if they wanted, trust me, anime does plenty of, we want to make a giant macho American guy. They do that. This was specifically, no, let's draw Superman. Let's do that. Let's have a conversation. And conversation is what highlights and, brings art to a place where it can keep growing and stuff. It's the momentum. And we want that here. We're all about that Clash KO, obviously.
Anyway, guys, as you can see, the sun's kind of gone down, so we're going to call that one a KO. Let us know any of the anime references you guys have been picking up on.
Yeah. How has it infiltrated your culture?
Exactly. Your culture outside of anime.
Yeah.
Let us know.